So imagine waking up in an economy where money can appear out of thin air, or one where every coin is locked behind an unbreakable vault. And that's the clash we're diving into today. Let's talk about quantitative easing versus Bitcoin's fixed supply. And it's a true economic showdown to be talked about. So in one corner, you've got quantitative easing. It's the central bank's money creation lever. And when the economy slows, they print even more, inject more, push more, and it can rescue markets. But it can also quietly stretch your dollars thinner over time. And in the other corner to fight against it, you have Bitcoin. It's a digital asset that refuses to bend, and only 21 million will ever exist. No printing press, no emergency button, just a predictable, halving-driven drip of new supply that's immune to human panic. So let's go and let's jump into it, class. Inshallah, if God wills. All right, so let's go and let's talk about the economic showdown. So, Bitcoin has scarcity involved within it. There's a limited amount of Bitcoin available. 21 million Bitcoin exist. But versus fiat currency, the traditional fiat currency, such as the US dollar, there's an unlimited supply, okay? But with that unlimited supply, things catch up over time. So let's go and let's talk about exactly what I mean. So mechanism, quantitative easing, right? So the term QE, let's talk about it. So QE stands for quantitative, Q stands for quantitative, okay? And E stands for easing. Okay, and here's how it actually works. So it's not just printing cash, okay? It's an asset swap. So step number one, the central bank creates digital reserve, okay, out of nothing. And they use these reserves to buy treasuries and mortgage-backed securities from commercial banks, okay? And now banks now have the cash reserves and are incentivized to lend it out to companies and people. And in result of all of this, the central bank balance sheet then explodes, okay? And the Fed's balance sheet grew from 4 trillion, okay, to 9 trillion during 2020 through 2022, okay? So let's go and let's break down the further logic of what this all means, because there's definitely going to be consequences for everything that we just spoke about. And let's talk about it. The canceling effect. So who gets the money first? So new money doesn't reach everyone at the same time. It flows just like a river does, okay? And one, the insiders, okay, banks, okay, / government, they get the money first at near zero interest, okay? And they buy assets for cheap, okay? They buy it for a low price, okay? God says no interest anyway, so they finesse the whole system. So the asset owners, right? Let's talk about the rich people. So stock and house prices rise due to the influx of cheap capital, okay? And let's talk about the wage earner, okay? By the time money reaches you, prices for food, okay, just a basic item, let's say like a piece of chicken, for example, okay, or macaroni, okay, 1 year you might be paying $5, okay, for a chicken sandwich. Next year you might be paying $7, okay. 5 years down the line, you might be paying $13, okay. You went from paying $5 a chicken sandwich to $13, okay? Yes, we can print infinite currency, right? But there's going to be consequences to everything, okay? It's going to be supply and demand, equal opposite forces in everything, okay? So understand that the fact that infinite money gets printed means that over time, things have to get more expensive in order to compensate, because people are going to start just having more money, okay? There's going to be more money flowing in the river. So the numbers have to balance out logically, okay? So knowing this, we have to understand that your income has to catch up. So let's focus on point number 2 here, okay? So point number 2, the asset owners and the rich. So stock and house prices rise due to the influx of cheap capital, okay? So they go up due to the influx of cheap capital. We need to think about this logically, Okay. So while food, rent, and stuff is getting more expensive, okay, stock and housing prices are also rising. You guys should be trying your hardest to stack as much assets as possible. If you don't know what an asset is, that's going to be anything that's pretty much going to turn your money into more money. Okay. Whether it be real estate. Okay. You could do stocks. Okay. Cryptocurrency. So many different avenues. Okay. Business. Pay for ads and start you a digital business or physical business. Whatever. Okay. Just whatever is turning your money into more money, that's going to be an asset. Because you have to understand that your income has to catch up. I don't want you guys to be struggling in society. Okay, your income has to catch up. And just like God says in Quran, we have to spend moderately. Okay, we have to spend moderately. I'm really telling you guys, the key to life is just following what God says. Okay, if you guys aren't religious, you need to go start reading the word, man. Okay, it really helps a lot. It's a lot of psychology in there. Okay, especially as a trader, an investor, somebody trying to have their finances together, you need to definitely read Quran if you can. Okay, so spending moderately. Okay, so stop being so much of a consumer if you realize, okay, there was times I was spending my whole bag on DoorDash, on this and that. Okay, having no assets stacked. Okay, and I'm not saying don't live life. There's going to be times where we want to live a little life. Okay, I understand. Okay, there's times, you know what I'm saying, I go out, you know what I'm saying, you might pop it a little bit. Live your life, do your thing. But that doesn't need to be a consistent every single week, every single day thing. Okay, save your money. Invest your money. Okay. So when I say save your money, save it in some assets if you can. Okay, don't just have your money sitting in your bank account, because inflation, food, rent, etc. is rising. Okay, which means if you just have money sitting still, you're going to pay more taxes over time. Okay, so always try and keep your money flowing in the river. Okay, this way, by the time tax time comes, you're going to have an easy time paying it off. Inshallah, if God wills. Okay, so let's head over to the next slide. So the response, okay, absolute scarcity. Bitcoin, where my Bitcoiners at? All right. So Bitcoin, the 21 million hard cap. Okay, and this limit is not something that needs to be taken lightly. Okay, Bitcoin is gonna go away one day. Okay, Bitcoin is not infinite. Okay, it is not infinite. Okay, you need to understand that it's a resource that is going to expire. Okay, that in itself, that alone gives it value. Okay, so there's 21 million, okay, Bitcoin that has to be mined until it goes away. Okay, depending on when you're watching this video, you should be able to do a quick Google search to see how much Bitcoin is left. Okay, people are starting to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth, including the US government. So check your watch, okay, because time is ticking. Okay, so this limit is not a promise, it's math. Okay, it's enforced by tens of thousands of nodes globally. To change it, you would need to convince the entire network to devalue their own wealth, which would be practically not something that people will be wanting to do. Okay, and there's a whole decentralized consensus behind it. So that word decentralized, okay, you might have heard of it. Let's talk about it. Decentralized means no banks, okay, control anything. Okay, no banks control anything. What it is all peer to peer, okay, which means person. Okay, so we got Joe, and then I'm gonna go ahead and we got Jack. Okay, so we got Joe and Jack. Okay, Joe lives in the US. Okay, and Jack lives in China. Okay, Joe hired Jack to do some work for him. Okay, Joe hired Jack to make some ads for him. Okay, for his company. Okay, but he's in China though. He's in China. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay, if you're trying to wire transfer some money to somebody in China, okay, or somebody in, let's say, Africa, Okay, for example, okay, 'cause I know China has some cryptocurrency laws and stuff like that. So let's say Jack is in Africa. Okay, so Jack is in Africa, and you're trying to send some money to him. Okay, he's making some ads for you. He's trying to get his paycheck. And what's a good way to pay him? Okay, might be a little difficult to use PayPal. Might pay a lot of transfer fees. Might pay a lot of this. Okay, especially if you start trying to send large amounts of money, they might flag your account and be like, hold on, why are you trying to send so much money to somebody in another country? Okay, they might get questioned, and it's your money. Okay, not cool. This is where cryptocurrency comes in. God is the greatest. Okay, so thank God crypto exists now. Okay, if you want to send some money to somebody that you hired in another country, your family, whatever, however much you want, whenever you want, okay, you can instantly send your currency. And that's the decentralized network. Okay, that's the difference between centralized and decentralized. Decentralized, you can send it when you want, you can send it to who you want, and you can send it to where you want. Okay, whenever you want. Centralized, stuff works on times. Okay, I'm sure you guys know that direct deposit time. Okay, waiting for that 6 a.m., waiting for that check to hit. Okay, certain times like that. That's the whole centralized system. Okay, cryptocurrency strikes that out. Okay, and let's talk about an immutable ledger. Okay, so once a block is confirmed, it is thermodynamically secured by energy. Okay, rewriting the history would require more energy than a medium-sized country could consume. So once it's confirmed, once it's on the blockchain is going to be where all pretty much the cryptocurrency information lives. Okay, once all the blockchain information has been confirmed, okay, and set in stone, shouldn't change. Okay, inshallah, it shouldn't change. So that's what makes Bitcoin a big help in society, especially when we're just trying to live some life and do some things. Okay, we might have some family in other countries, and we just want to live like people. Okay, come on, let's go to the next slide. So the supply shock. Okay, let's go and let's talk about the halving. Okay, halving. So half, as you guys know, 50%. Fraction is 1/2. Okay, because 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so programmatic disinflation. So every 210,000 blocks, okay, which happens every 4 years, okay, which is, yeah, pretty much how often it happens, the issuance cut happens by 50%. And this creates a predictable supply shock. So let's break it down. So pre-2024, the Bitcoin inflation, okay, was around 1.7%. Okay. Post 2024, okay, inflation went down to 0.85%. Okay, which became scarcer than gold. Okay. And projections, if this math continues by 2028, we should have the inflation at 0.4%. And then 2140, when Bitcoin decides to go away, which is by the time when people calculate, inflation will be at 0.0%, of course. So while the fiat supply accelerates, right, exponentially to pay the debts, Bitcoin supply decelerates, okay? You have to understand that it happens because it's a limited currency, okay? It's limited. It's not something that's going to be here forever. Try and get it when you can. You don't want to be one of those people who regret it and be like, oh man, I should have bought some Bitcoin. And you just didn't, okay? So make your decisions now. Put some money to the side, okay? You don't need to be buying no clothes, McDonald's, no DoorDash, no right now. Buy some groceries, okay? Buy some groceries and grind, okay? Wake up, pray to God, grind, and stay down, okay? Live a little life, of course. Take care of your mental health. But try and put some money away, okay? We got to have this asset flowing. Okay, let's get it, inshallah. So the systematic comparison. So fiat currency, US dollar, man, cash, you know, good old dollars. Let's talk about it. So policy, okay, it changes based on politics and crisis, okay? If the US economy is doing well, then that means our dollar is going to be more valuable.
If it's doing bad and we have a lot of debt, etc., the US dollar is not going to be as valuable. Okay, and that's just what it is. And people will want to run to other assets, which once again, assets are things that turn your money into more money. Okay, because fiat currency, that money, is not as valuable. Okay, so they at least want to try and generate more, which makes logical sense. Defense, survival. Okay, so unlimited amount of fiat currency can be printed, press of a button. It's kind of just numbers on the screen. Even kind of same thing with credit too. And system, okay, permissioned. Banks control the access. Okay, they can tell you no, and they can tell you yes. Okay, and the outcome, right? Your savings lose value over time. Okay, due to the fact that it's not growing in anything. Okay, it's not in the river. Okay, it's sitting still on the rocks. Okay, and let's talk about some Bitcoin. So policy, okay, set in stone with code. Okay, can't be changed, which means Bitcoin is gonna have the same intrinsic value baked into it a lot of the times. Okay, and of course there's gonna be chart depending on where the price is at, all-time highs versus a low, for example. Okay, but for the most part, with it having that fixed supply, okay, it's gonna remain valuable. Okay, fiat currency, if the US started getting bombed right now, the US dollar probably wouldn't be as valuable. Okay, so certain things just are logical with that. So supply, okay, strictly capped, okay, 21 million, and it's very costly to mine. Okay, you can't just spawn Bitcoin at a press of a button. You actually have to have a whole logistical system. Okay, Bitcoin is created by proof of work. Okay, the computers have to show math. When your teacher asks you to show work, that's what the computers have to do. So it's pretty much a bunch of computers. Okay, or it might be one, however much the person has who's mining the Bitcoin. Okay, and what they're gonna go ahead and do is look for mathematical equal signs. Okay, they're trying to solve a code, okay, to give the hash. Okay, and in that, the computer has to keep solving these codes. Okay, and it has to show work. Okay, and that proof of work, and if it's correct, okay, then they're rewarded with a piece of Bitcoin. Okay, and then they keep doing that, and then every mathematical problem that's solved, then a Bitcoin gets created. Okay, and it's all solved by supercomputers. Okay, could be very, very expensive to run depending on your country. Okay, so before you just go try and boot it up, look into it. Please do your research. Pray to God on it. Take your time. Okay, and it's open to all. Anybody can buy Bitcoin. Okay, you can buy some Bitcoin right now if you want. I don't care if you got $2. Okay, get in that habit of buying assets. Try and keep yourself broke. Okay, because what do you have your cash in your bank account for? Go buy some assets, live off of credit if you can, and stay down. Okay, keep doing that. And then when it's time to pay your credit, boom, 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 and keep the money flowing. Keep it flowing. Okay, don't stop hustling. Okay, I know life happens. Don't get depressed. Keep your head on straight, man. Okay, there's gonna be things that go down in life. There's gonna be times your emotions are gonna be shook up. Okay, there's gonna be times where you can't stack up. Okay, your car might break down. Okay, things happen in life. Okay, you might have to pay rent. You might have to pay direct deposit on a new crib. Okay, and rent. Okay, depending on whatever it is, any situation, right? Hospital bills. Okay, just pray to God on it. Okay, pray to God on it and keep hustling. Okay, don't get in your head. Don't get poopy pants and don't get depressed because you got to get to this money. Okay, I'm telling you, when you pray on it, you keep going forward, you keep hustling, things get easier. Okay, but you got to keep hustling. Okay, after you pray, you got to keep hustling. Okay, don't grieve. Okay, don't get sad. Just focus. Focus. Okay, don't take that money and indulge in food. No alcohol. Okay, if you're drinking, quit that. God says don't do it. It makes you weak. Okay, no alcohol. Take that money, buy some assets, buy some Bitcoin. Okay, change up your lifestyle. It's really deep. Okay, if you catch yourself buying certain kinds of food, ask yourself why. Okay, why? Why am I eating these Doritos? Why am I booting this up right now? Okay, when's the last time you had some vegetables, some fruit? Okay. You got to change your lifestyle. You guys are so obsessed with investing and trading, but we all have to realize that we have to change our lifestyles. Okay. This stuff takes money. Okay. It takes money to invest. So if you want to invest, you need to change your lifestyle up. Okay. Put some bread away. It's cool to stay down. Okay. It's cool to save some. Okay. Wear the same clothes for weeks if you got to, but you know how much Bitcoin you have in the stash. You know how much assets you have stacked up. Who cares what anybody's saying? Okay. Because if you want to get to this Bitcoin, it's going to take a certain level of discipline. Okay. It's going to take a certain level of staying focused. Okay. We can't be being lazy when we say we want to be stacking assets. You got to choose. You got to be relentless. You got to be a dog. Okay. So before Bitcoin expires, I don't want you guys to be like, man, I wish I bought Bitcoin. And it's like, that's not how you want to go out. Okay. Leave something for your family. Okay. And take care of yourself. Inshallah. So let's go. Let's head over to the next slide. So the hardness of money, right? Stock to flow. So why hardness matters in the first place? So money is a technology for storing time and energy. And hardness measures how hard it is to produce more of it. So let's talk about the S to F ratio. Okay. And the existing supply, okay, divided by the annual production. So let's talk about the real estate, right? High S2F, okay? Because real estate is pretty hard to build, okay? You need a whole crew of people. Stuff could be changing now, though, because they do have houses that you can just drop on a plot of land, okay? That's like carried by a giant truck, okay? So it really depends. That could change as humans develop more innovative technology and ways to get housing quicker. But as for now, real estate is pretty hard to build. And let's talk about gold, right? So gold takes about 60 years to double supply. Okay. And Bitcoin, okay, it's the hardest asset ever discovered. Ever. Okay. So gold has a 60 S2F, Bitcoin, as of 2025, has 120 S2F. Okay. And if money is easy to produce, right, such as fiat currency, which is unlimited, people won't save it. They're just going to go ahead and dump it and blow it. Okay. And if money is hard, okay, Bitcoin, civilization can save for the future. Your Bitcoin is like your gold. Okay. You should not be touching your Bitcoin. 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 Okay. Keep it in the stash. Keep it locked away. Keep those secret keys locked up. Okay. Don't be touching that Coinbase card. Don't do it. It's not worth it, guys. Okay. So let's stack it up. Let's stay down. Okay. Spend that credit. Okay. Spend that credit and build it back up. Spend that credit, build it back up. Pay your bills, spend that credit, build it back up. Keep hustling, keep grinding. Okay. Spend that credit. Fiat currency, unlimited, pretty much almost not real. But think something like Bitcoin. Okay. Something like real assets like gold. Okay. That there's limited resources and actually exist. Okay. Whether you're buying the gold, ETF, etc. Just understand that investing into assets that have value are going to be a lot more worthwhile than hoarding fiat currency for no reason. So let's jump into the next slide. So the verdict of everything. Okay. We're witnessing a global competition between two monetary operating systems. Okay. You got the debt path. Okay. Fiat requires inflation to service global debt. So your savings are the fuel for the system. Okay. Eating it all up. And then you got your true savings path. Okay. Bitcoin, it's an exit valve. Okay. A savings technology that cannot be debased by any central authority. Okay. And this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Okay. Do your own research. Okay. I'm not saying go take all your money, dump it into Bitcoin, but do your research. Check it out. Okay. Check it out and do your thing. Okay. Stay prayerful to God. Keep grounding. Head over to stackmode.net for all trading education. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.